Hello, my name is Amy Selkirk. I am the oboe instructor at William Carey University. I am here today to give you some guidance as you begin to work on your etudes for the ASBDA Mississippi Middle School All-State Band auditions. We will be covering the etudes for Year C, starting with the lyrical etude, which is in your Rubank Advanced Method, Volume 1, page 36, number 20. You need to start in measure 1 and then end on beat 3 of measure 20. The first thing that I would look at when I begin to practice this is my key signature. So we have two flats, B flat and E flat. So one might assume that we are in B flat major, but it's important to remember that every major key also has a relative minor. So if you're not sure, one of the easy ways to figure out whether you are in B flat major or the relative minor, which is G minor, is to look at the very last note of the piece, which is a G. So we're actually in G minor for this etude. Then you want to look at your time signature, which is common time or 4/4, your tempo marking, which is moderato. So we're going to move at a moderately paced tempo. We're not too fast, we're not too slow. And then once you have a handle on your notes, your rhythms, I think one of the next most important things to make sure you have down is your articulation. So make sure you're tonguing when you're supposed to tongue and slurring when you're supposed to slur. And I think some of the slurs in this specific etude are actually pretty difficult because you have to slur from a low note to a high note. And the oboe naturally is very loud in our low register. And then just kind of wimpy and soft in our high register. So if I were to slur from a low note to a high note and I didn't do anything with my air, it would sound like this. And we get a break in the sound, which is not a slur. A slur means you have a nice, smooth, connected airstream between the two notes and you do not have a break in the sound. So slurring is more than just not tonguing. It's also keeping your airstream up so you have that nice, smooth connection between the two notes. And then if you look where we have some of these big leaps, one of them is measure 2, beat 4. We're leaping up an octave from our low G to our high G. You also have a crescendo underneath it. So you already have to increase your airstream in order to get that high G out without getting a break in the sound. But now you have to increase it even more so we can make that high G louder than our low G. So what we want it to sound like is this. And then the next line, the second measure going into the third measure, you have a similar thing. You have a G that's slurring into a B flat, which is on beat 1 of the third measure. And then you have the same thing, line 3, the fourth beat of the first measure. You have that G slurring up to the high G again. Then if you look on that arrival note, so measure 3, beat 1, for example, you have RF written under it. And you may not have seen that before. It means reinforce. So it's similar to a sforzando, which is SF, but it's RF. It just means you're going to put kind of an accent at the beginning of the note, but it's not a tongue accent, it's an air accent. So we're going to blow really fast air at the beginning of that note. Then one of the last things you can add, so you've got your notes, you've got your rhythm, you've got your articulation, you make sure you're getting your dynamics. And then if you have begun to work on vibrato with your teacher, you can go ahead and try to add some of your vibrato on the longer notes, such as the half notes. and the dotted quarter notes, and that's really going to take this up a whole nother level and make it that much more expressive. So I hope some of these tips were helpful for you, and please enjoy my recording of this etude. Hello, my name is Amy Selkirk. I am the oboe instructor at William Carey University, and today I'm here to give you some practice tips for when you begin to work on your etudes for the ASBDA Mississippi All-State Band auditions. This is the technical etude, so this is on page 45 of your Rubank Advanced Method. It's number 4. If we look at our key signature, we know we're in C major because we don't have any sharps or flats in the key signature. We are in 4/4, or common time. And then if we look at the rest of it, we see that we have a lot of 16th notes. And something that tends to happen when we see just a lot of ink on the page like this is that our brains tend to panic. And then we go faster than we need to go, and then we start rushing, and it all gets out of control and becomes a big mess. So before we let any of that happen, we want to turn our metronome on and start practicing it slow, much slower than the 88, which is your recommended tempo. Do not start this at 88. Start it much slower, then work on speeding it up as you get more comfortable. Another thing to be aware of is that the articulation pattern changes as you go through the exercise. So in the first measure, it's slur 2, tongue 2. In the second measure, it's slur 1, tongue 3. In the third measure, it's slur 3, tongue 1, and it continues to change. So when you're practicing this slowly for notes, also try to get the correct articulation so that as you speed it up, it's already there and it's not something that you have to go back and add after the fact. Then once you have your articulation down, focus on getting those staccatos nice and crisp and short, so we get a nice contrast to our slurs. And then one last thing that I just want to talk about briefly is that when we are slurring from one note to another and we have to move a lot of fingers, if our fingers don't all move at the exact same time, then we get little blips in the sound. So for example, if I was to slur from that G to that C and measure 1, the first beat, and all of my fingers didn't move at the exact same moment, this is what it would sound like. Which isn't what we want to hear. What we want to hear is this. So if you're practicing this and you hear your fingers doing that between any particular interval or between multiple intervals, slow it down, isolate the spots that are giving you problems, and get them clean before you work on speeding it back up. I hope some of these suggestions were helpful for you. Good luck with your auditions, and please enjoy my demonstration video. Thank you.